Hello there, and welcome to Nintendo Club Podcast. Joining me today is Nick Wozniak of Yacht Club Games. He, of course, is one of the makers of the awesome Shovel Knight. Welcome, Nick.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. Thanks for fitting us in your schedule. I imagine it's crazy around there now after launching the game.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really overwhelming. We have our email inbox is being just flooded, and it's actually more than we can handle. It's just physically just typing out words and stuff. We have I think in my email right now I have 648 unread emails, and like
is
that's
it
just
mostly
since
is it a lot
launch.
of fans just enjoying the game and
Yeah, it's a
just,
lot of that. It's also a
yeah,
lot of people asking questions about when the EU release is coming out, when the like about the stretch goals and stuff. There's not like a
yeah,
there's there's a lot of confusion out there as far as like how those are being
yeah,
rolled out, the
I
Mac and
gotcha.
Linux version. So
Are you
um,
guys doing a Japanese localization at all? Is that in your plans at all?
absolutely,
Yeah.
we've been talking to. Um, I guess we haven't announced this, so I shouldn't go too deep into
Sure,
it.
sure, yeah.
But
However broad you want to do it, it's fine.
yeah, we're talking with some people that we're really excited to be working with, and they are hoping to make sure that Shovel Knight is translated in a way, especially in Japan, not just to be like a direct translation, but they're going to make sure it fits with the culture and hits on
Mhm.
those points that don't necessarily know about. So,
Yeah, the
you
humor
know,
would have to translate
humor
well
is
more.
huge.
Yeah,
Like, this character Croaker, he has 26 puns, and like puns that we wrote for English, like puns don't
no,
translate
they
when they're directly
don't.
translated. So,
Yeah, you'll see a
um,
lot of the bad Japanese to English translations
yeah,
in the comedy in some parts. Yeah,
yeah, definitely. I watch every now and then. I'll watch like Japanese anime, and so like the better subs are the ones that uh, they have like the thing just directly translated, and then like a big giant
yeah,
parentheses that this explains like what this is, and so
yeah. I've
hopefully
started. I don't know. 6 months ago, I started learning Japanese slowly but
okay.
surely. But so I'm just curious on that end of things. Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Japan. I went to Japan a couple years ago, and I love that place, and I definitely want to get into learning more Japanese. Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, so
Shovel
yeah, a
Knight will
little
be totally coming out to
tangent there.
Japan.
Yeah, so very cool. So the stretch goals, what were those, and how are you guys tackling those? Because work is not done for you guys. You're still pumping
Oh
out like a
yeah,
Mac version and some other things, right?
yeah. The initial game is shipping with a couple of the stretch goals, so like the ones that are core to the actual game. So there's like the achievements; those are already a part of the game. People are already getting those,
The feats,
and
right? That's
the feats. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Those are
yeah.
pretty cool.
That's what we call them. And also the music player. And the music player is actually it's a whole character. You're finding secret music notes throughout the whole game. It's you get a substantial reward for returning them in. So it's
Yeah, I've
actually
gotten
a pretty
14 so far, so I got a lot. That's 74, I think, total. So
there's 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 46 total. Um,
okay.
but there's a bunch more on the CD.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But the 46 are just like the main theme and then the boss theme for each level, the bunch of town themes. There's all the different stuff that happens on the side, like the wandering boss battles and that kind of stuff. So there's a ton of music in the game, and 46 is just a huge amount of tracks, and they're all unique and pretty great.
Yeah, I bought the soundtrack. I'm not sure what service it was today, but 2 hours and 10 minutes of music. It's
It's
so great.
crazy. That's
And it's
all
quality
Jake.
music. This stuff's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Jake does amazing work, and he just does not stop working. So it happens forever. And yeah, last night we had a big listening party where we listened to the whole soundtrack, and it lasted a long time because that CD, like I said, is 2 hours long. And so at the end of it, he hit the big red button and it went live. And so you can go onto his Bandcamp website, which is vert.bandcamp.com, and you can buy the soundtrack and then the whole another soundtrack, which is the arranged version, which is like these really like they range from like orchestral to just like speed metal versions of the game
Very
soundtrack,
cool.
and they're
Oh
really
wow.
great. There's 18 of those tracks,
Huh.
so and both of those are pay what you want, so you can pay if you want, and that's fine. We just want the music out there, or you can set your own price,
Yeah,
and
I put
so
$5 in for it, and
no, but that's great.
yeah, yeah. And I was curious. iTunes, is that ever gonna be a thing for you guys with the soundtrack, or is
Oh, that
Bandcamp kind
hasn't
of where it lives?
I mean, Bandcamp is usually where Jake hosts his music, so that's and then he has the same philosophy for all of the soundtracks. Just pay what you want, and I guess iTunes could happen in the future, but yeah, we haven't really talked about that too much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize it was so large, and then I downloaded like, oh my gosh, it's over 2 hours of music. Probably
Yeah,
should have more than
I
5 bucks in.
I was
Uh,
shocked when he was telling the amount of tracks that were actually going to be included, and he got to like 45 or 50 or whatever, how many tracks the actual the final OST is. I was blown away. My idea of what a big album is like 14 tracks,
yeah, especially if you
and so
compare
it's like
to NES
40.
soundtracks that are
Yeah.
very, very short, right?
Yeah, when I think of NES soundtracks that are limited, I think of Kid Nicky and
Yeah.
that one loop that it's like just eats in my brain.
Yeah. So, Shovel Knight, getting the word out there, was it people discovering on Kickstarter, or did you guys do a lot of work up front, contacting a bunch of publications
Yeah,
to do this?
the way that it started was we were just focusing on the game. We had some contacts of just people that we met in the past through press or press contacts that we've met in the past, and so we contacted those. And then we looked at people who had reviewed either the games that we had worked on previously and contacted them directly,
Hmm.
or we tried to find people that enjoyed Mega Man games or enjoyed games of the same type. And
Yeah.
so that's we contacted Colin Moriarty of IGN out of the blue. I'm just
Hmm.
like, hey, like we saw that you did a Mega Man retrospective, like maybe you would like this game. And generally it could be considered a shotgun shot, but it was like very directed. So
Yeah.
we kept it towards people that would hopefully enjoy Shovel Knight, and
Hmm.
it worked out. And that happened just a week or so before we announced the company had started, broke off from Way Forward, and started our own company. And then a week later, we announced the Kickstarter, and that was live. And that was it. We didn't do a
Okay.
big campaign
Yeah.
or anything, but
No, so you
yeah, it
guys
was
have
a
worked
pretty big
before
hit.
in the past, it sounds like.
Yeah, we'd all come from Way Forward, from
Okay.
various level of involvement there. The core team, we made up most of the core team behind most recently Double Dragon Neon,
Okay.
and we had also worked on games like Blood Rain Betrayal. Um, Sean was the director of Boy and His Blob. I did some animations for
Hmm.
that game. Um, Sean also co-directed Contra 4.
Okay.
Um, we all worked on, or a couple of us worked on a Batman DS game and a Batman Wii
Yeah.
game that came with it, and those are fun. Like we made that a Mega Man game too, but
Now, the decision to go
yeah.
to Nintendo platform, was that because this is like a Nintendo game, like an NES kind of style game? Is it's at home here, kind of, or?
Yeah, I mean it's a confluence of factors. So the first one is, yeah, I mean it's we knew that what we were making. We're making an NES style game. It's 8-bit influence. It comes from the era of our childhood, and that was NES games and it was SNES games. So um,
Hmm.
we we knew that Nintendo was our bar for quality, and it was also like the thing that we felt most attached to. And so, and then on top of that, we're a small team. There's only about half a dozen of us. So
Hmm.
when we're talking about our platforms, we're not talking about which platforms we're not going to be on. It's more like what platforms can we be on, like with our team.
Hmm.
And only two of us are programmers actually. I'm a pixel artist. I don't know
Yeah,
how
line
to
of
C++
code. Yeah.
at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the decision was made almost solely based on just like we can do this, so let's do the thing that we love.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so we contacted Nintendo, and they responded. We actually contacted Nintendo before the Kickstarter started, but weren't confirmed Nintendo developers until 3 or 4 days in. And so
Okay.
for after for 4 days of just like of the Kickstarter running, and we're like biting our nails and nervous, and PAX East was coming up, and um, like we've been talking to them, and they were really really enthusiastic, but the official word hadn't come down
Yeah.
until
They've been
after
good to
we had
work
printed
with throughout this
materials.
whole process. Then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have they gave us dev kits for, I guess they're not really a loan, but they gave us for free for a year or
Hmm.
so. They have worked with us to just do promotional stuff. We were in their booth at IndieCade. Um, they had us at I think at PAX Prime. So it's like there was a general just level of support from Nintendo throughout the whole project, and it culminated in the Treehouse Live event that happened recently at
Yeah.
E3, where
No,
we
that's
were
pretty awesome.
on stage just playing our game. That was cool because we finished our game and we're standing up to go off and right behind Sean and Sean turns around to see is a giant 6 foot tall man that turned out to be Reggie. Like he's
Yeah.
just huge and he's just like, hey, like great to meet you. I'm looking forward to the game and it was like
That's
you know
awesome.
like
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
it was crazy.
You
So
can't ask for
you
much
know
more than that. Yeah.
yeah, and then he talked about it a little bit in the next in his next segment. So we definitely feel the love from Nintendo and Nintendo fans alike.
Did they kind of guide you as far as what day to actually launch this, so it didn't conflict with other big game launches, or?
Yeah, when you release a game, it's really important that you're not stomping on other games' toes, especially from the same platform holder. So, um, obviously, I don't think it would have been too early to do for when Mario Kart 8 came out, but we were having that conversation before it, of just like timing things and making sure things are ready. People are you know, either they're done with Mario Kart 8 or they're done with like the E3 rush, and so we kind of spaced out a time that worked for us to release the game in a way that would give it the most attention. And I mean, Valiant Hearts came out, I think either the day before or like just around that same week, and so did
Hmm.
um, a couple of their Steam games, like a racing game and a sniper game. So we there was some competition, I guess, but I
Yeah.
think there's enough space in the game market to not feel like you're having to compete with everybody. So
Oh, sure.
it's
Like
been
Wii
pretty
Sports
okay.
Club isn't really a little bit
Yeah.
different audience.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not as long as like the biggest thing was not coming out when Mario Kart 8 came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Totally.
that worked out, I
So,
think.
did you guys from the start know how much of a love letter this would be to the NES? It feels like you took the best batch of NES ideas and made it your own thing, where it didn't feel like it didn't feel like you're ripping off ideas, but rather using them in smarter ways almost.
Yeah, I think that when I mean, even from the beginning, we wanted to make sure that our game didn't feel like a collection of NES games as much as a game that can stand tall with the others. So it's almost like the idea that Shovel Knight came out and you remember it playing it as a kid,
Hmm.
and it just you just forgot, and now it's like resurfacing somehow.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
long lost NES game,
exactly.
or the launch title of the NES HD that Nintendo's coming out with next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was really important that we didn't ever say, like, have a character say, you know, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Like,
Right.
we wanted to avoid a parody game or a game that uses and riffs on memes of that
Hmm.
era or since, especially since. But so we wanted to make sure that Shovel Knight didn't rely on the nostalgia specifically of Mega Man or specifically of Castlevania, and sort of just kind of created a nostalgia of its own. Um, so that was something that was difficult for sure because it's a balance of why and like what defines an NES game, you know,
Hmm.
and it's more than just the pixel art and it's more than just the chip tunes. It's um, what level of quality in terms of just like what the world is and how that's just infused into the game. I can just remember
Hmm.
like even down to like the manuals and the box art and like everything comes down to a complete package, and you can just remember and I'm sure you can too, of just like you know getting a game and then just poring over the manual like on the way home in your car in the back of your mom's
Hmm.
minivan or like on the toilet just like
Yeah.
reading you know reading about the strange crazy worlds of Mario 3,
Yeah.
um, and
I'd
that
almost like to
feeling of
buy like an NES Shovel Knight box with a manual, with, like a blank
well,
cartridge.
yeah, we actually have the box and the manual are being printed right now. That was one of the Kickstarter rewards,
Oh,
and
very cool.
one of the stretch goals was the actual physical box. It's not a cartridge; it's just the box. So
Just the
the idea is
box,
that
yeah.
you put it up in your shelf and like have it next to I don't know wherever you keep your
Yeah, I
NES
put it
games.
behind me. I mean, I
Yeah,
got
exactly.
room. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're working with a guy who does this. He has a die cut, perfect like NES official. Not it's not officials, but it's like
Hmm.
it's to the specifications of the NES official boxes. And so that's being printed right now. We got some proofs back, and they look really cool. We might have the proof around here. So I can't find it. Oh, there it is. One sec.
Yep, sure.
Oh, this is the Mega Man 10 one. This isn't the regular one. Oh, here it is.
There it is.
Got it.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, it's like this is the box. This is just a materials test. So like it's like folded up weird, and we had to cut it out with scissors. But the final ones will be like cut with a machine and perfectly folded. So yeah, it's like this is the Shovel Knight box that'll be coming out.
That is awesome.
And you'll be able to. Hopefully, we're looking into like how you can get it after the Kickstarter, and like not just as a backer, but as just anybody coming to our website and buying.
You can almost bundle out
the
the soundtrack physical if you wanted to.
That would be really cool.
Yeah,
the soundtrack actually like fits inside that, so that'd be cool. And then we also have this. This is also a quick proof that was done. And like folded and stapled by hand, but it's the manual. So it's nice. To the exact specifications of the NES manuals, and it looks super authentic, and we have like our own stuff, and there's like screenshots that have little rounded rectangles and stuff, and
wow. Yeah, I will buy that once it's for sale.
This is my favorite page. This is like the best. Or you just like see
Shovel
Knight jumping around. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It's a 44-page manual. It's like a novel.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So, the music of Shovel Knight is awesome. You found this composer, like, you knew him in the past? Like, how did you guys find this?
Well, yeah, at Way Forward, Jake Kaufman does all their music, or the vast majority of the music, and he's he's responsible for the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack, and we have worked with him since forever, and I couldn't imagine doing a project without a Jake Kaufman. He goes by Vert online, without a Vert soundtrack, and his attention to detail, and it's just like insane. Just the progression of the chords are all extremely complex, and he just has a ton of
He's able to turn chiptunes into emotional music.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. And also, the music in Shovel Knight is actually the most authentic NES thing in the game, because he's actually working with Famitracker, which is it produces an NSF file. It's like a file that the Nintendo sound format. It's what the NES read, and so you could conceivably, we were just talking about this last night actually. Yeah. You could conceivably put the soundtrack of Shovel Knight onto an NES cart if it was one of the bigger ones, and also had the VRC6 chip. And also didn't have any game with it. It was just the music. Oh. And then you could put that on a NES cart and run it on your NES and play it. But you'd need one of the Famicom 72-pin. Yeah. Like we were talking about the specifics of it, and it's like it's just beyond feasible, but I think it could still be cool.
That would be a cool way to sell a soundtrack.
Yeah, for sure. I really want to do
it. Yeah. So as far as the other platforms, you guys haven't announced PlayStation or the other guys. Is that a project eventually when all the other obligations are filled out from the Kickstarter?
Yeah, absolutely. Our first priority is getting it more of a worldwide release. So we're getting it to Europe, which is like in the works right now. Localization is happening, and so is the ratings are done. The certifications happen after localization comes in. It's like a whole separate process from the NOA certification. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of have to redo it. So that's our first priority. And then getting it to other regions beyond Europe is also really important. But we might parallelize that with like other platforms. We have Linux running right now. I don't think it's perfect and ready to go, but it's running, and Mac is hot on its heels, and those are the initial stretch goals of other platforms. And then from that, like I want to see it on the Vita. The Vita screen is amazing for pixel art. I played Spelunky for too many hours when I was borrowing Ian's Vita, and I just could not put it down. Yeah. Loaf Trousers looks so amazing on that screen. So I would like to be on the Vita, but we haven't officially announced anything. I would like to be on either PS3 or PS4 on a big screen.
Sure.
And we've been talking with those guys, and they've been really receptive to it. So I wouldn't be surprised if if you would see that in the coming months,
Yeah. Okay.
alongside of our content updates. It's like so much to do.
What kind of content updates are you guys pushing out?
So the content updates are the stretch goals that are included. I remember mentioning the achievements or
Yep.
the feats and the music player are in the game. What's not in the game is the the gender swap mode was one of the
Okay.
better stretch goals. The
Yeah.
challenge mode, which is like a series of rooms that you fight in that or platforming challenges or whatever they are that
Hmm.
are specifically honing a certain skill, or maybe you like do the propeller dagger challenge, like similar to. I pictured them similar to the little mini bonus stages on the map of Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
If you've played those,
I have. Yeah. The first time I saw it, I was like, boomerang guy. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah,
And
definitely. So it'd
the
be like,
first time I was trying to get back to the hometown, I kept on dying and losing my money, and I couldn't buy the thing I was going
oh no,
to buy.
that guy's tough. That guy's definitely tough.
Yeah.
And so yeah, challenge mode is going to be in there. So will be the big one is battle mode with all the playable boss knights as contenders. So you'll be able to. It's a
Oh,
four
awesome.
player couch multiplayer battle royale, whatever that looks like. We haven't
Yeah.
totally designed any of these
Right.
because they're still in their infancy, but we have general
That'd be a
ideas of
local
their pitch.
battle mode, right?
Yeah, yeah, not
Okay.
not online, and also since the 3DS uses online to do ad hoc, it's actually we won't have multiplayer on the 3DS, but it'll be
Okay.
on any of the consoles. So it'll be on Wii U or like Steam and any other platforms that we go to.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's one other stretch goal. Oh, the three playable boss knights. We had we there were multiple tiers to get a boss knight into the game as a playable campaign, and people voted for those. And you're gonna be able to play the game as Spectre Knight, King Knight, or Plague Knight, and each of those guys
Oh,
have
very cool.
wildly different play styles than the Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
And so, Plague Knight might be a little bit easier than the main game, or maybe more technical, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, King Knight might be a more easier one. That's more about the fun and flair, and then Spectre Knight might be the more hard mode where it's like he's sacrificing his health to do actions, but you're constantly moving fast. So like a lot of risk reward, like those kind of things are how we're going to design these three guys, and so like there's all that, and that's going to come as major content updates throughout the rest
Yeah,
of the
that's a
year.
huge one because it'll feel like a whole new game.
Yeah, it's going to be 95% the same game, except that when you completely change the mobility of the main character, it's like it's a whole new game. So that'll be really fun to get those going. And then, yeah, you mentioned the boomerang guy. He was one of the Kickstarter rewards, actually. We had five people donate $1,000 to the Kickstarter project, and that was the director for a day tier. And you got
Okay.
to design your own boss, you got to or enemy,
Hmm.
and we put it in the game. And so the wandering encounters are those bosses.
Okay.
There's Reese is the guy, the boomerang guy. He's tough. He's really tough if you don't have enough health because those
Yeah.
boomerangs just bounce all over the place.
Yeah, I've
Um,
been very much using my money to buy more health rather than buying more of
yes,
the other things for
that's
now.
super important. And then when you get to the area where you can buy new armors, that also helps out a lot.
Yeah.
Uh,
I now
yeah.
drop half the amount of money, which is good for
No,
me.
that's very helpful.
Yeah.
I usually opt for more damage just because I want to like power through it and not
Yeah.
worry about dying.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the Dynamo Mail a lot. That's my favorite. Or the Ornate Plate, which just makes you flip in the air and doesn't do anything else, is my other favorite.
Yeah, because I'm finding I die a lot those times on spikes. Those one hit
yeah.
kills. Like, oh.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah.
spikes and the pits and the lava, they're
Yep.
brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Wii U, John has gotten that. He's one of our co-hosts. I'm getting this weekend.
Okay.
Miiverse integration, I've heard, is pretty cool. How'd you guys come upon how you're using that?
Yeah, so we were talking about for a long time, and we kind of break down a little bit of this on our website. The We wanted to make sure that the Miiverse posting and how that worked was sort of tied into the game, that it wasn't just a thing that was also available,
Hmm.
and we wanted to be like impactful to the gameplay. Um, we tried out a couple different things, maybe you'll see a mess like we had it before where there's a little icon for a talking bubble and maybe you like walk over to it and then a thing appears on screen, but that was kind of lame because like a message like that is big and in front of the screen and would
Hmm.
cause too much like screen overlap. So um, what we did eventually was decided to allow that on the bottom screen messages are just showing up as you move from room to room, and they're tied to that room. So when you go into a room and there's a secret wall and you find it, maybe you go onto Miiverse and post and say like here like maybe you draw out like what the room looks like and say
Yeah.
like try this wall over here. And we've seen a little bit of that so far. It's been like really cool to see it kind of spark into life in the past couple days. And
Hmm.
or there's been the other thing that's really fun is when people I guess cosplay or like they role play as those characters. Um, and they'll say like somebody will post as King Knight because you can choose your avatar, so you can like
Okay.
post as King Knight and be like, welcome to my castle. You know, like this is I
Yeah.
am the Gold Lord of Pridemoor. So
No, that's really cool.
it's tied into it's similar to like the Dark Souls messages where you walk over to a piece of the glowy thing on the ground and it
Hmm.
says amazing chest ahead or whatever,
Yeah.
and so it works out pretty well, I think.
No, that's very cool. And the 3DS, I
Hmm.
was surprised
Oh
at
yeah.
the controls and how well they worked actually, because the circle pad, it works for a lot some games, but some games they just don't click with. In this one, I was like, wow, these controls are pretty solid on the 3DS. I imagine the Wii U will be even better, but the 3DS, I was
Yeah.
amazed at how well it worked.
Yeah, the big thing there is that we were talking about the down thrust and the shovel drop as we call it in the
Hmm.
game. That's the core mechanic to the whole game. So like everything
Yeah,
that is Shovel Knight came from that core mechanic. And the problem is that if that becomes too complicated or you have to do too many other things, it becomes a lot harder. And so that's why we made it so that when you just press down in the air, you don't press down on attack. It's just down.
yeah.
And you don't have to hold it. You just press it once. You go
Hmm.
into the down thrust and you're down thrusting until you attack out of it or until you run into
Yeah,
the
I had
ground.
to learn the hard way how to stop the down thrust as I down thrust into the lava after exploding some blocks. Yeah,
Yep, yeah, totally. I know
yeah,
exactly what you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, and the reason being is because when you're moving back and forth, left and right, you don't want to be worrying about also holding down or
No, you
also holding
don't. So
down an
yeah, it's
attack.
really
So that was a that's come up as people have questioned like why did you do that, like I just want to let go or I just wanted to do that, but in the interest of making the majority of the time you're do what you're doing less complicated and more accessible, that was the decision that we made.
yeah. No, it works really well.
Yeah, I think
Another
so too.
thing, the controls, uh, the B being the main button has me thrown off so many times. It's like, oh, that's right, Shovel Knight.
Yeah, I mean
Because
that's
ergonomically, it's the best,
yeah,
but
right.
logically, it's like B's back.
Yeah, it's something that was also that went back and forth, just like a lot of discussion happens. Like we have an open room and we just talk
Hmm.
about what's bugging us about the game or things that we want to change or things that are good or whatever. And so the B button as the confirm, yeah, it makes sense the most. Or ergonomically, like your thumb is just there, and the problem is not that like anyone's necessarily wrong. It's that it's been established
Yeah,
over time that on the NES platform that's how it works. But I think we instead of sticking to norms and sticking to tradition, we made the choice based on what was best for the experience, and
hmm
just it's self-contained within itself. So yeah, people have brought that up too. We've had some people saying like, "Why is B this?" And well, and then the other option is just rebind it. You can go into the options and rebind your
yeah.
controls
And I
how you
love that it
see
has a
fit.
little NES controller as the
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's not quite the NES controller because
No,
we didn't want to totally rip it off, but yeah, it's
yeah,
it's the NES controller.
yeah. No, first it's like pressing A, it's not doing anything.
Yep.
Yeah, at first, yeah.
Yeah, you got to
And
get
then the
used to that.
3D
Yeah.
screen just looks beautiful with this. I have it cranked all the time, and I
Oh,
don't
that's
do that for
awesome.
every game, but for this
That's
game,
so
it
good to
looks
hear.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we put a lot of work into that, and I think it looks great. I love the effect of 2D and 3D or that
hmm
concept. I think a really good implementation of it was uh, the on the 3DS they released some old NES games and made them like 3D. Like
yeah. The
Sight
3D
Bike was really
remastering.
good.
Yeah.
The 3D remasters, that's what it was. And yeah, Excite Bike was like
Hmm.
whoa, I'm seeing like so much, and they
Yeah,
actually
it's
map
funny
it
on
to a
that game as
polygon.
you slide it in and out, it has more or less of the screen you're
Yes,
seeing.
it's pulling in the background, like it's actually mapped to a polygon, so it's a little bit different. But seeing
Yeah.
the actual just sprites sticking up on the 3D, that was enough, and that was really cool. So we love that, and so we added that in there, and I think it worked out okay. A lot of people turned it off immediately when we showed it off to them at PAX, and
The thing
that
about
was so
like
sad.
3D is I only use it when I'm at home with the lights pretty much off or low
Okay,
lighting. In outside and buses and at trade shows, it just
yeah.
does not work because
Yeah,
yeah, that's the
I
thing.
also turn it down, especially for like full 3D games. But in some games, I just need it. You know, Super Mario Land, or no, what was it called?
Super
3D
Mario
Land?
3D Land, yeah,
Yeah, there's too many iterations of that name that I
yeah,
can't keep
there
track
are.
of
Yeah,
it. So yeah, Super Mario 3D Land, it's
that's
essential. Like you
glorious. Yeah,
need that 3D, otherwise you're just going to miss
hmm
platforms.
yeah, totally.
But yeah.
Yeah, I wanted Nintendo to make a 3D enabled gamepad for my Wii U, so Super Mario 3D World could be in
Oh
3D.
man,
That
that
would
would
have been
be
great.
so cool. It's so yeah, it is so weird to play that game and have it not be in 3D. It's
Yeah,
like yeah, that's just constantly sitting in the back of my head, like like why isn't this in 3D?
yeah, yeah, totally. So on the 3DS, there's also Street Pass, which I've not ran into that yet, but I'm looking forward to it as more people get the game.
Going to find someone with the 3DS and
Yeah,
just
I imagine PAX East will be big for that. That's for
oh
sure.
yeah, absolutely. Trade shows are always great for that. The way that the Street Pass works is it's a single arena, as you know,
Hmm.
and it's like the original Mario Brothers setup. So it's like there's gems everywhere, and there's an opponent. But the twist here is that there is no opponent yet.
Yeah,
You're recording your actions to fight the eventual opponent, and what happens is you record yours, and then when you pass somebody, it plays theirs in reverse on top of yours, and
hmm,
whoever
yeah,
either ends up with more gems or hits the other one first wins. And they're 5 second rounds, and there's three of them, and they last really fast. They go really fast, and so it's a weird like when you start getting into the
yeah.
strategy of it, it gets really interesting. Um,
It sounds like a cooler
yeah,
version than what A Link Between Worlds did with the dark links.
Yeah, I think so too. Actually, I think that it's more than just a token pass. It's more than just like these are the stats of my character. It's actually like it's real. I mean, it's limited, but it's real
Yeah,
agency of the actual other
like
player.
you could have somebody that like I'm just gonna jump and do down jumps all the
Yep.
time and see what happens.
And sometimes
Yeah,
that player will win because
yeah,
they happen to do it, and yeah, good on them. So
yeah,
it's not the best. It is I think it's fun, but it's not
yeah.
like it's this a super amazing concept, But I
No,
think
yeah, it's kind of cool
it's
though.
actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So on let's see, what other platforms and stuff. What other like platform specific features are you guys thinking about in the future?
Well, we definitely don't want to neglect any platform that we go to. We have for for the Wii U, we had the Miiverse. We also have off screen play, so you can play it just on the pad,
Yep.
which is great if your TV is really high lag. Um,
Yeah.
that happens more often than you know.
No, I
Like
use Soft TV a bunch. It's a
it's
wonderful
yeah
feature.
yeah
Yeah.
it's
The thing with the Wii
it's
U is it's the most convenient home console I've ever owned, and the gamepad is awesome just because it makes using it more convenient. You know.
yeah absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
we have the off-screen play for that, and then for the 3DS, like I mentioned, we have the Street Pass and the stereoscopic 3D, and then for Steam, we have like the Steam achievements integration, also trading cards. I'm not sure if I
Okay.
haven't really gotten into
Yeah.
that too much, but we have trading cards and badges and all that to go with it.
Yeah. Cool.
Um, and yeah, I guess like any platform that we go to in the future, we definitely don't want to neglect what it has to offer, and we want to make sure that when we do something new for that platform, that it's meaningful to the gameplay and the experience. So I guess when we go to Vita, we'll have to figure out how to incorporate the back touch.
Yeah.
Maybe you can, I don't know, like flip guys that are like stroke the
Yeah.
hair of
You
Shovel
could
Knight.
rub the back touch to do some shovel thing on him. Yeah.
It can be as important or as silly and ridiculous as we want.
Right. Yeah. So as far as potential future games, would you continue with Shovel Knight, or would you try a brand new idea of different characters and things
Yeah,
like
I don't
that?
know, man. I mean, after
after these stretch goals, I mean, that's going to take a long time. We're looking at maybe like another year of development for all of that to be
Yeah, you guys are
completed.
busy for a while. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Um, so after that, I mean, I could see us doing. Um, it'd be, it's hard to see us just jumping into Shovel Knight 2 or whatever.
Right.
So I could see us doing like maybe like a buffer project or like
Hmm.
a small project that's focusing more on the tech. One of the things that we want to really tackle is online multiplayer, and
Be
just
fun to
like
do an
figuring
HD
that
just
out.
Shovel Knight battle multiplayer game.
Yep, that would be a really good way to do it. Like, or
Yeah.
maybe just like figuring out like the nuances of multiplayer in a more limited setting.
Hmm.
Like a limited setting more than just like a fighting game would be something like like a kart racer would be like really
Yeah.
interesting, or um, some other just like multiplayer focused game
Hmm.
that we can just implement and polish well, but maybe only spend like 6 to 8 months on or something,
Yeah.
and then from there we can jump into a larger project. But
Right.
for now, all of the talk of the next game are just fanciful musings. So we talk
Yeah.
about like maybe we do Super Shovel Knight and it's like
Yeah, like
Shovel Knight
16-bit.
X or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or like Shovel Knight 64, like it's a
Oh,
3D
that'd
platformer.
be amazing.
I would love to do
Uh,
that. So,
yeah.
or like we could just do something completely different. We haven't we haven't committed ourselves to just doing NES platformers. That's just
Right.
something that we love. So that's
Yeah,
what we
I
did
wondered if
first.
Shovel Knight got really, really huge. If I'm not sure if Nintendo ever does indie characters for Smash Brothers, but the next Smash having
Oh, that
Shovel
would
Knight
be
in there,
so amazing.
because he would
That would
fit
be truly
perfectly in that
amazing.
little quirky game.
Yeah, of course. I
Yeah,
mean, it would be great to just see him next to Green Ninja
yeah, or
or
Mega
Wii Fit
Man.
Trainer or Mega Man.
Yeah,
Jeez, jeez.
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah,
Yeah, I would love that
yeah.
more than most things.
So when you guys conceiving this game, 8-bit versus 16-bit, was it hard to choose one, or was it like, no, this is NES, we're doing that kind of style?
Right. Well, whatever we did, we knew that we would jump into it full force.
Yeah.
With the 16-bit stuff, you usually don't do the 16-bit. You usually do like the extra, like the GBA kind of or
Hmm.
DS style pixel games where the pixels are just like that's just the resolution you're working with, but you just like blow out the animation
Yeah.
budget and stuff. And um, we worked on a lot of those kind of games. I worked on a game for the Thor movie, and the game was called Thor: God of Thunder on the DS,
Yeah.
and that was all in pixels, and that was a really fun game to work on. But when we were deciding between like doing something like that versus like an NES game for Shovel Knight, we had to look at our team and what we're capable of. Um, Basically, I'm the only pixel guy that's dedicated to doing pixels 100% of the time.
Hmm.
We had Sean did some stuff, and so did Aaron. But for the most part, like my whole day was just pixels, and that was it. There was no like whole team behind it. And pixel art is a very focused and careful thing to
I
do
can
right.
imagine it's
And
very
so
meticulous, going pixel by
yeah,
pixel, making sure. I mean, that seems
it's I do
awesome.
live streams of it, so you can see the process, and it's actually very careful and slow. And so when you're talking about either doing NES or SNES, you're talking about your budget, you're talking about your
Oh yeah,
resources.
yeah.
So we wanted to not jump in the deep end too far, and so we decided to go with NES. And as a result, we decided to embrace that limitation. And so we went
Hmm.
to, we decided to get the NSF sound files just to be perfect. We went to try to use the NES palette and really stick to it.
Hmm.
We made sure that the game felt as from that era as possible, or as
Well, once
from
you
that
launch it
like
up and start a new file, it's like I'm entering my initials. Wow, this is
yeah,
yeah,
it's that
yeah,
rose tinted view of what the NES was. I
yeah.
mean, if you go back to old NES games, you get that nostalgia, but you also see like what there's a lot of things that are going wrong. There's a lot of slowdown in Mega Man
Hmm.
games just all throughout. There's a lot of sprite flickering and the stuff that doesn't look as good we wanted to avoid.
Yeah, and you have
But
the frustration of really I can't have checkpoints or save or
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yep,
yeah.
yeah. Getting through certain
Like
games like that is
I've not
impossible.
finished Mega Man game because it's like I have fun with them while I'm in there, but it's like I'm just not. I'm too old for putting
Yeah,
up with all
it's
this. Yeah,
I
stuff.
totally agree. I think that Mega Man 6 is a good place to start.
Okay.
It's not the best Mega Man, but it's easier.
Yeah.
You have a jetpack that can get you through certain tough areas. So if I were to start with a Mega Man, I would say that you want to
Okay,
finish.
I'll try
6 is
that
a
one.
good
Yeah,
one. And 5 is
yeah,
also easier because they just throw extra lives at you just constantly.
sure.
So 6 and 5 are
Okay,
the easier ones, and then 2 and 3 are also good. So
okay, I'll give this a shot. Yeah, because
okay,
I'd love if Capcom made a HD remaster that has more of the modern. Let's help you out a little bit more. Yeah.
yeah, 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 that would be really cool. But oh, if you haven't played Mega Man Powered Up, that's also really really good.
What platform
That's
is that
on
one on?
it's on PSP.
Okay.
It's a like I love Powered Up. I love the
Yeah.
chibi designs of it. It's very like cartoonish
Hmm.
and simple looking, but it's a remake of like it's an HD 3D remake of Mega Man One. And to fill out the roster, they added 2 more bosses because Mega Man One had 6 bosses while everybody else had 8. And so 2 bosses were added: Time Man and Oil Man, and they're people like them okay, I guess, but for the most part, that's like a really really great version of a Mega Man that you
Yeah.
could get into.
Do you have a favorite like NES game of all time? Is it Mega Man? What would it be for
A
you?
favorite NES game, man. I don't know because a lot of the NES games that I played um, not as a kid. Like I grew up playing just a few NES games, and then from there I would play them on emulators, or my friends would have NESs and we'd play them together. So like I played so much Mario 3 that my fingers hurt.
Yeah.
And I would do things like I would be playing with Legos and then like incorporate into the play that like we needed to go and play Mario, and so like that like they played together in some ways. And so I played Mario 3 more than most things. But
Yeah.
um, I guess other NES games that are really fun that I've learned recently. Um, I played Solar Jetman the other day on stream, and that was like really cool. I'd never played Solar Jetman before, but that game is like surprisingly large.
Yeah.
um, God, I guess like yeah, Castlevania 1 and 3 are pretty good. Two's
Yeah.
not
Three
so
just
good.
came out on Virtual Console.
Oh,
So
that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
it just came
Yeah.
out. So
I'm
that's
excited
a
to
good
play that
one.
one. Yeah.
So is let's see. I don't want to say this is a favorite, but this is an interesting one. Is Codename Viper.
Hmm.
That game is super rough. We played that on stream too, and Ian showed me that. Ian's the master of that
Yeah.
game, and yeah, there's tons of NES games out there that I really am looking forward to getting into more.
Yeah,
So.
because when NES came out, we had Mario and Punch Out, but
Mhm.
I was really young when that came out. So Genesis was my first real console, and then N64. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have so many SNES games and NES games that I've never even played that I really need to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
That if you're counting a backlog, I guess mine does start at the NES as well.
yeah.
Like I haven't actually played through Punch Out seriously. Like I played a little bit as a kid, and I think I got
Hmm.
to uh, the guy with the turban. I forget his
Oh yeah,
name.
the guy that does he like flies down,
Yeah,
does the
yeah.
little thing, and then
There's
rolls
a
down.
teleporting thing.
Yeah, teleport. Yeah,
I feel so dumb not knowing that guy's name. Tiger, I think. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, you're
Everybody and anybody watching this probably is laughing at me.
right.
But yeah, I want to go through Punch Out and like seriously sit down with it.
Yeah,
So on like filling out the Mega Man games that I haven't completed would be good too. And yeah, but there's so many games
there
that
are,
it's
there
really
are.
great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to say.
So designing, not design, but finishing up this game. There's
Hmm.
so much fit and finish and polish. How many months was the polishing and making sure it was all perfect and fantastic
Well,
period for you
yeah,
guys?
I mean our design process. It's not a typical. I don't see our design process currently as a typical one. Usually, because I'm so used to the work for hire model where you have certain milestones that the publisher is expecting. So what
Hmm.
I'm used to in the past was um, you have a design that is a document that's completely written, and you send that for approval to the publisher, and then you work on the content that's listed in that, and then you make modifications approved by the publisher of that content. And so
Yeah.
it's a very like it's almost like a step by step, like they call it waterfall development.
Hmm.
And what we've done in this production cycle is to try to avoid that trap, because what happens is when you're making a game, you can't design a game from the beginning. Like that's just not something that people do
It's
when
like
they're
writing
making a
a
good
book.
game.
You The words will
Exactly.
come as they come. Right? Yeah.
Exactly, and you have an outline, but maybe halfway through the book you've learned something about the character, or halfway through the game even
Hmm.
you've learned something about the gameplay, and it completely changes your idea of where this was going in the first place. And so there are microcosms of that, and then there's just that where you completely change how the character feels. And so we tried to embrace that idea of just kind of directed chaos of just doing iterations after iterations of the same content. And so like I you can almost say that polish happened the entire project
Yeah.
where we would put in a level, and if it didn't work out we would focus on making it work again, and then sometimes we would scrap that whole level and start over again. And that happened multiple times with the Iron Whale stage. I can't tell you how many
Yeah.
times the Iron Whale stage was just in this horrible mess of a state,
Yeah.
just because it was an okay level, but it didn't quite meet our expectations, and so like different ideas are just kind of thrown in there, and it just wasn't like cohesive until just a month or two before we shipped.
Yeah.
So it's probably 2 months or so. Um, so yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
hard to say exactly when like production stopped and when polish kind of took
Yeah.
over. But it's been a weird process the whole production cycle.
Yeah. Getting into this game, I expected it to be like an action platformer. And as I started playing it,
Yeah,
it's like, wow, there's a whole hub town. There's like an
yeah,
RPG kind of leveling up system. Like it,
yeah.
it felt
It's
like a genre of its own. Like this is a little bit of every genre, and that was like awesome. Like I don't know how to classify this game. Like it's yeah, as I
well,
said,
yeah.
like a
At
level
its core,
RTS. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, at its core, it is an action platformer. But yeah, you're right. It does have you're progressing. You're buying health upgrades, and you're buying magic upgrades, and you're buying different types of armor that change the way you play, and you're upgrading how your shovel acts. And also, there's just like there's a lot of NPCs that you can talk to and interact with. I think the closest thing to Shovel Knight might be Zelda 2, where it's like you have a
Yeah.
town that you kind of walk around in and you explain, and you talk to NPCs who explain your next task, or they're just random NPCs that are just fun to interact with,
Hmm.
and that is sort of just like the mentality of where we came to when we were making this game, is we wanted to have a
Hmm.
full world and have it be more than just a set of levels that don't really bond with each other, which is one of the things that I think Mega Man doesn't do very well. Is and it's not it's not trying to, so I wouldn't fault it for
Right.
this, but Mega Man is just like you're in like a mountain area, and now you're in a plant, and now you're in
And
like
choose the order
the
you want.
jungle, yeah, and just like go wherever. But you never get the sense that like this is a real world. If there was some plot twist somewhere where it turns out that Mega Man's just been asleep in this virtual world this whole time, like that wouldn't matter, because like
Hmm.
it wouldn't have changed anything. But we wanted to make sure that this felt like a real
Yeah, there's
cohesive
actually a story in
land.
this. It's
Yeah.
yeah, that's the wild part. Like it's actually it's like a story, and you have to care about these characters, even though they're very quirky and they make fun of themselves at times. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. We'd spend a lot of time to make sure that the characters felt like real characters, not just a boss or an enemy or something.
Yeah, I love the fact that you can actually walk through the title bar area or the header of the screen. So you
Yeah,
can be
yeah,
walking through your health bar and stuff when you get up high.
yeah. There's a bunch of secrets like that where you have to get to a position that's higher than what normally would be on screen, and so you just
Yeah,
walk through the HUD.
it's
That's the way it
so
works.
great that I always just put a smile on my face when I walk through the HUD. It's so great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, getting through the world map, was it designed in a way that you had to play every level, or are there levels you can bypass but when you go through and unlock stuff?
Right. So it's actually more like, I don't know if you've played UN Squadron, where you are presented with a tier of
Hmm.
levels. So there's like there's this level, and this one might be harder to start off with, or this one might have an item that you want to get first,
Yeah.
and but you can kind of choose your own path.
Hmm.
And so it's broken up like that, where it starts off with just one level. That's the intro stage. It has like it explains through gameplay all the things that you need to do. And so by the
Yeah,
time you
no
finish the level,
tutorials. It's really
no, yeah,
like,
no,
oh, I discovered that. That's cool. And
exactly.
every
We want to
level,
make
it
sure.
seems like there's like a new mechanic introduced, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's why we went with a structure because I mean again with Mega Man was is another thing to consider. With Mega Man levels, you don't get any opportunity to learn the mechanics, and
Hmm.
so they keep it very simple. Um, and there's also no ramping of individual levels because there's just like there's you could go anywhere as a player, and so your first level could be Quick Man stage or it could be Bubble Man. So it's like you have to like just focus on um, or you can just so that each level is sort of in a generic pile. So what we wanted to do is make sure that the levels had ramping, um, and so that's why we chose a tier thing. So it starts off with the intro stage, and then you can choose between King Knight stage or Spectre Knight stage, and then once you finish both, then you can move on to either Mole Knight stage or Alchemy Lab, which is Plague Knight stage, or Treasure Knight stage, which is the
Hmm.
Iron Whale, and then there's a couple more tiers after that. So um, it's uh, it's sort of like a directed uh, choice pattern. So
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
yeah, UN Squadron's the same way. So if you're familiar with that,
Okay.
you've played the same map.
No, yeah, it's pretty smartly designed. As far as going back to the levels you've beaten,
Hmm.
is there a lot of opportunity to stock up on money doing that, or is all the big gems already collected when you did it the first time?
Well, that was actually something that we talked about more than you would think.
I imagine because
Originally,
it's a big like
yeah,
it basically that decision either way will tell you if it's easier to progress with weapon upgrades or not, right?
yeah. That was yeah. We wanted to avoid at all possible the opportunity for the player to farm for gold
Mm-hmm.
or for whatever,
Yep.
and so that was. For a long time we were like adamant and sticking to our guns that like you cannot play replay levels, and we had that as like the plan that we were telling everybody. At PAX, people would ask us that question. We would say no. It's like this game focuses on the run. Like you want to do a whole run of the game and not just do a focus on the level until you're ready to go to the next one.
Yeah.
But as we presented it to other people and had people playing it, we got a lot of feedback. And the intern guy that came on, we had an intern join
Mm-hmm.
the team late last year, and he was like just flat out, I hate it that you can't go back to levels. And we were like, oh, like let's talk about this. So we realized it was just like not rubbing people the right way, and maybe we were being too stubborn about this, and so through some careful, just like discussions about it, we decided to let the player go back and replay levels. And so you can go back and you can practice, you know, Keynote stage if you want or whatever. But it's always, I always see it as better just to keep going forward
Yeah, that's
in
what I've
the
done so far.
progression.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But
But yeah.
so like treasure chests, those would be emptied out the second time through. Is that right, or are those
Oh
still
gosh,
there?
I don't remember the exact implementation, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's not exactly the same game, or it's not the same as the initial play. I mean, this
Like
is something that I
the
never
boss
do.
fight, would that be is that taken out for the second
No,
playthrough
you
and
fight the boss again,
you
right?
do? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so you
Yeah.
experience the whole level. I think chess might be like I think it might be the same. Like
Yeah.
you can find the chess and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, but I just never do that, and like I that sounds weird because we were the QA team, like we played the game more than anybody,
Yeah.
but I really just never did that. So
Yeah, I haven't done it yet.
um,
I imagine I will at some point. I don't know how the game ends, and I'll figure that out and see if I want to go
yeah,
back and play them all. Uh, so, let's see. I think that's about it. Did you have anything
okay.
else you wanted to mention about Shovel Knight? I know it's been your
Well,
life for the past couple of years here.
I think the biggest thing that anybody who's wanting to play it who's going to play it on the PC, it's really important that your input device is good.
Hmm.
So I would highly and strongly recommend against using an Xbox 360 controller. I know that I know that that's just what people have because it just
Yeah.
works with default Windows. But we worked pretty hard to make sure that a lot of controllers are supported natively.
Hmm.
And the one that is my favorite is the PS4 controller,
Yeah.
and you just plug it in and you can play the game, and it's amazing. I love everything about it. It's not 100% perfect, but it is the darn closest thing out there right now for the PC.
Yeah.
I would also be afraid. I'm also very skeptical of buying those like the classic controllers with the USB. hookups, just because
Okay.
they range in quality greatly. So
Okay.
be careful.
Now on
Look,
the Wii U,
yeah.
does it support Classic Controller Pro so I could use this guy?
Oh, I think so.
Okay. Or the Classic
That
Controller for the Wiimote,
yeah, I'm pretty sure that one, that specific Famicom one,
Yeah,
or
it's
Super
made by
Famicom,
Nintendo, and I'm really
yeah,
excited to play that this weekend on this. We'll see
that
how that
one, it
works.
was available as a Club Nintendo reward, right?
In Japan, yeah.
Yeah, so that one's like super rare.
Yeah, this is like a good $70 on eBay for me to
Yeah,
get this thing.
exactly.
So I'm
Um,
really curious if that'll work. I imagine it would, but we'll see. Yeah.
yeah, I imagine it would too if it's the same as the other one, like the one that's not shaped like a Super Famicom controller.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it should be that should work. Let us know if it doesn't.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
If you
That'll be
have
a
a
lot of fun.
controller that doesn't work on the PC version specifically, but I mean the Wii U one and the 3DS, they should be fine. But if you
Yeah.
have a controller that doesn't work, we have a way to submit the controller's data to us, and
Cool.
and then we'll support it in the next update using SDL. So I guess I can give you that link, and you can go to it and just like put in your info. But I know
Hmm.
this is a Nintendo podcast, so it's not exactly
Yeah. Yeah.
directly relevant. But if you are playing it on the PC, or if you're in Europe and you only have access to the PC version right now, I'm sure that'll help out.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Shovel Knight is available today on the Wii U and 3DS in North America, and coming soon to the EU and other territories as well at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's available on PC and Steam,
PC and
and
Steam, yeah.
throughout the whole world. So, or
Yeah.
throughout anybody that has Steam
And
access.
if you buy the Windows Team, you get the Mac version that's available. Is that how it works?
When
Okay.
it's available, yeah. When we finish the Mac version and the Linux version, it'll just be another option that you can choose when downloading a game. So that's just bundled into that.
Very cool. And is it Yacht Club Games for more information about your guys' company?
Yeah, if you go to yachtclubgames.com, you can see our website. We've been posting a bunch of like really informative articles lately about the design process and about how we feel about controllers and just general things. And we also have like the 60 frames per second trailer is over there, so that's
Yeah.
really cool. And then you can also buy the game there if you click on the Shovel Knight tab.
I kind of
So,
wish a stretch goal was to have a documentary crew there.
oh,
That
yeah,
would have been cool.
that would have been
Yeah.
really cool. It would have been really disruptive, but it would
That
have
would
been
have been. That
interesting.
would, like the game takes 2 years longer because you have a documentary crew. Yeah. But thanks again for Nick for your time. I've
Yeah,
been thoroughly
absolutely.
enjoying Shovel Knight. We're gonna have a very good discussion on Sunday's show with all three of us.
Oh,
This
great.
show, and yeah, I think we've all been enjoying it quite a bit. And
Oh, that's so good to hear.
it's I've been listening to their podcast, and this thing is just like everyone's loving this. You guys did something right. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. I think that for whatever reason, it's really resonating with people, and it's we love it. We poured all of ourselves into it, and so it's really great to know that people are taking that out of it and seeing that and feeling the love.
yeah, for sure. Thanks again, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely.